Hello and welcome to the next section of the Sprockets database training. A reminder again, if you want to follow along on your computer, to look at the login information there on your screen. And then in this section of the training, so we've already covered adding a program to the database, adding participants, and filling out participant demographic information. Now we're going to look at enrolling and dropping participants in your program. So when you added participants to your site in the database using the Add Participant tab that we looked at earlier in this training, what you're really doing is just saying that they're associated with your organization in some way. It hasn't yet attached them to the specific program that they're participating in, which will allow you to report on them and take attendance. So we're going to focus now on how to enroll participants in your actual program. And there's two different ways that you can do that depending on where in the program session you are. If you're at the start of a program session and you have a long list of participants, say 50 participants who are all enrolling in your program at once, the easiest way to enroll them is to go to the activity itself. So if you go to Groups Activities and click on your activity, you'll see that there's an Enrollment tab up at the top. And if I click on that right now, you'll see I don't have anyone enrolled in this program. So I'm not able to do any attendance yet. But to start enrolling people, I just want to hit this Enroll button. And you'll see a screen here which lets you enroll people a couple of different ways. One is to just search by name. It's quite slow to do that if you have a lot of participants at once. So if you want to enroll a lot of participants at once, the fastest thing to do is to click this word all. So there's the list of letters and then the word all at the end. If you click that word all, it'll give you a list of everyone who's in your site in the database. So if you remember from the earlier part in the training, this is everyone who's in your small circle. Everyone who you've actually assigned to your site in the database will be here on this list. And then you can scroll through the list and pick everyone that you want. So rather than enrolling people one at a time, I can go through and click everyone that I want and then hit Next Step. Here you want to make sure that you have the right enroll date for everybody. So if my program starts on September 7th, but let's say I have a participant who's actually going to start a couple weeks late, you want to make sure to put in the date that they actually start and then hit Next Step. This screen here is going to warn you if there's any scheduling conflicts, which means you have a person who's enrolled in two different things at the same time. It's not going to come up a lot in a real life site, but you may have a case where someone's enrolled in a program and then in a specific component of the program at the same time. If that's okay, you just want to hit all to select everybody, say Next Step, and it'll just ignore that scheduling conflict. Take a look at this list, make sure that you have all the people that you want, and then hit Done. The database is actually going to send you back to this Enroll screen to see if you want to enroll anybody else. But if you have everybody that you want, you just want to hit Return up in the top right. And it'll take you back to your enrollment roster so you can see here everyone that you have enrolled in the program. You can see when they started and if they dropped when they dropped. So that's a great way to enroll a large group of youth at once. If, on the other hand, it's partway through the program session and you have youth who are starting just one at a time, you may not want to look through that whole list of every single youth that you could possibly enroll. So in that case, it may be faster to actually enroll the participant from the participant record. So to do that, you want to go to Participants and Staff and look up that specific participant that you're working with. So I'm going to search, and again, just search by a couple initials, hit Find Person, click on the person that I want to enroll, and go to the Enrollment tab of their record. So what you'd be able to see here, if this were a returning participant, you'd be able to see a list of all the activities they've participated in the past. But since this is a new person, she doesn't have anything yet. So what you want to do is hit Add Activity to enroll her in your activity. You can pick multiple things, or in this case, if I just want to enroll her in my one program, I'll just click that one program and hit Enroll. This is an easy screen to skip, but especially if you're enrolling people partway through a session, it's an important one to not skip. Because you'll see that it tries to enroll her as of the very first day of programming. If she actually started a couple months into programming, you don't want to do that because it's going to make it look like she had really poor attendance. It's basically going to count her absent up until the day that she started. What you want to do instead is put in the day that she actually started. So she didn't start in September. She actually isn't going to show up until November 1st. I want to put November 1st as her start date so that it doesn't count her absent up until that point. So make sure you put in her start date, hit Enroll. And now it'll show up here. You can see that this is the activity she's enrolled in. When does it start? When does it end? So that's how to enroll someone partway through a program session. Another thing that you can do from this screen, so this is the Enrollment tab at the top of the participant record on the Participants and Staff tab on the left, is drop a participant from an activity. So if you find out that a specific person is not going to be coming back to your program, so say they're moving away or they're graduating or they're just not interested anymore and they're not going to come back, you want to drop them from the program so that you don't have to keep taking attendance for them when you know you're not going to see them again. You just want to get them off of that attendance roster. So the way that you do that is to hit bulk drop. So if I hit this bulk drop button, and I can put in the day that she's going to leave. So let's say January 1st, she's going to start a different activity and she's not going to come back to my program anymore. I'm going to put in January 1st as her drop date and hit next step. I'm going to click the activities that she's dropping from. In this case, I just have one choice, and then hit drop selected. The database is going to give you a warning that any attendance after the drop date is going to be deleted. But you can see here, I'm actually deleting 0 records, so I'm not really deleting anything. I just want to confirm that I want to drop. And now you'll see she shows up as being dropped, and her end date is January 1st. So all of the attendance that I took in November and December is just fine. None of that gets deleted. It just takes her off the roster after January 1st because I know that she's not going to be coming back. If you do have somebody who tells you that they're not going to come back and then they do show up again, it's really easy to re-enroll them. You just click on their status, which is right now dropped, and you put in a re-enroll date for them. So let's say February 1st, she came back to the program. I just put in February 1st, hit re-enroll, and now she's back in the program. One thing to be really careful of if you are using this screen is not to use this unenroll button. If someone attends the program for a while and then leaves, you want to drop them, not unenroll them. Unenroll, if you hit this, it will give you a warning first, but unenroll will actually delete all of their attendance. The only time you want to use unenroll is if somebody was entered in the program by mistake. You meant to enroll them in something else and enroll them in this program by mistake, then you can hit unenroll, delete everything for them. If it's someone who did attend the program and just left, you don't want to use unenroll, you want to use drop. So go ahead and hit return. And again, just remember, bulk drop is what you want if someone's been attending for a while and then leaves. And one thing you'll notice, this A next to the name of the activity is for attendance. If I click on that, you can see it looks a little bit different for somebody who started and then dropped and then came back because they have attendance for November and December. Then remember, we dropped them on January 1st, so they don't have any attendance here in January. They were totally off the roster. And then they came back February 1st, so now they have attendance again. So they have attendance for the first part of the session, then a little break where they were dropped, and then they're back enrolled again. So that's how, once you've added a participant to your site in the database, you can enroll them in your program, you can drop them from your program when they leave. But for all these dates that she's enrolled, she'll be on the roster to take attendance. And taking attendance is what we're going to look at in the next section of the training.